Hi, Natalie. How are you?
I'm just pretty tired this week, but otherwise pretty good.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
you want to tell me a little bit about your week?
Yeah. So this is the first week, like full week back to work. Um, and I have just been trying to like balance doing work and uh, like home life, and then also trying to take care of a puppy and making sure that she's as socialized as I can get her. Um, but also like I worked 6 days this week instead of five, so it's just been kind of like jam packed.
Ooh, yeah. That sounds like a lot. You have 6 days of work. How many hours is that?
I did the math last night and it was 42 hours.
Oh, wow. Alrighty. So you had 42 hours of work, a little bit of overtime, taking care of a puppy, family, sounds like some family stuff.
Yeah, I my family is like we're always in the house at the same time, so it's just like it's always a little bit overstimulating, like hanging out with my family. Um, and then this weekend we went to it's like our hometown days for our neighborhood, and I took the puppy to help her socialize, and there was significantly more people than I was anticipating, so it was like big crowds and a puppy who is not totally socialized yet. So like trying to focus on her but also trying to be present with other people. um yeah, so it was just a little bit stressful, and that was yesterday. So I'm just very tired from all of that mental energy.
Yeah. So you had yesterday off and then you have today off.
No.
Oh
I
no.
worked yesterday also. Yeah, so yesterday I took Mila, my puppy, to puppy playdate at PetSmart to go and do a little bit of like cautious introductions with other dogs. And then I brought her home, and then well, no. So first I went to a parade at 9 a.m. yesterday, and then I took her to puppy play date, and then I went to work for 3 hours, came home, had like an hour to just try to turn my brain off and couldn't, and then got Mila ready to go to the big celebration for our neighborhood, and then like came home, ordered dinner, picked up dinner, and then watched fireworks until like 10.
Wow. Yeah, that's a jam-packed day.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious too, just like I know you said you had that hour to yourself and you couldn't turn your brain off. How do you kind of take care of yourself when you have such a busy schedule?
I typically try to like, I know it's not the best practice, but I like the best way to get my brain to just shut off is to like doom scroll for a couple of minutes or play like games on my phone or on my PC just to like let myself not have to think. um and then yeah, I typically like I try to limit it to when I've just had like a lot happening, so I can just focus on something and like have feel successful in like a game or something that I'm doing. Um, because I also have very much curated my algorithms on all of my social media to show me things that I enjoy seeing and not um, like mentally stimulating content all the time.
Mm. Okay, so I'm hearing these games can kind of give you a sense of like not only like maybe you're winning or a sense of like completion, but like also like very much a good like way to kind of escape like what's going on currently. Um, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, I was just agreeing. It's definitely, I lean into escapism whenever I'm overstressed, I feel.
Yeah. Do you think there's a like does it ever become too much? Like do you find that it's like keeping you from your life at all or stopping you from being able to like interact with people?
Um, I don't think specifically I wouldn't say like leaning into escapism as it is like playing video games or doom scrolling or reading. I don't feel like those tend to inhibit or like interfere with my life at all. I do have a history of dissociation, so that definitely has hindered me in the past. But I've put in a lot of work to not rely on it a lot. And so now it is becoming a healthier coping mechanism. Um, because I've been allowing myself to be present while also like escape giving myself time to escape instead of um like escaping in that moment.
Mm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Natalie. I think that is like really good self-awareness to have because it doesn't have to be like a maladaptive skill, right? It can be really helpful and very much reduce our stress. I heard you say you'd suffered from like dissociation in the past. What kind of helped you get through that or get out of that maybe?
Um that's a good question. I don't know that I have like a specific answer.
Mhm.
Because I feel like it was a lot of things. I think it is primarily just being a lot more aware of like when my body is dissociating and what it feels like when I start to dissociate has really helped. Um, but also, I feel like in the past I was really hard on myself for dissociating. And I think that only made the symptoms worse. Like I would dissociate more frequently because I was angry at myself for dissociating. Um, and then when I started to like understand that it doesn't always like it's not always bad, it's just that my brain is scared. Um, it made it easier to like let myself dissociate, but also to understand why and just noticing triggers. But also, I did a lot of work with like EMDR to work out some trauma that was triggering it without like anything around me triggering it. That has really helped reduce the frequency and the duration.
Mm. Well, I'm really glad you were able to, it sounds like EMDR was pretty helpful for you.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of good things. A lot of good self-awareness here. Also just like the ability to give yourself that grace of like, there is a reason this is happening, you know, like getting
Hmm.
angry at yourself maybe even further triggered it, you said. Yeah. So it sounds like when you recharge, sometimes when you're trying to turn your brain off, you try to do some like escapism, whether that be like video games, um, doom scrolling, but also you have a really good feed, it sounds like, that is like curated to things that make you feel good. Um, are there any other things that are very helpful in like not even just like resting, but like recharging yourself?
If I'm not today, it would probably just have to be a doom scroll day, or a video game day because I just don't have the energy to leave my house. But when I still have like a little bit of energy, typically just like being outside and like touching grass is helpful. But I think because I did so much of that yesterday, it's not as helpful. like I'm starting to get more comfortable with like, oh no, I just need to be alone in a room. uh and so just like stuff like that, or like listening to music is helpful a lot of the time, or going on a drive can be really just like resetting for my brain. um but I also tend to struggle with like transitions out of places when I am exhausted and overstimulated. So for the most part, I tend not to like gravitate towards leaving my house if I can avoid it when I am tired.
Yeah. And is that like the physical like exhaustion? Is that even a word? Physical like fatigue, but also like is it the mental fatigue as well of like having to interact with others or like all the stuff going on outside?
um, I think it's a little bit of both.
Mhm.
Because like today I'm just tired, and I know that my brain is tired because I haven't slept great for the past couple of days. Um, just because I worked Saturday and woke up early to go to a parade. Um, so I just know that like my body is tired, so my brain is tired because I didn't have enough time to reset overnight. Um, yeah, I think it's typically a combo of both.
Yeah. So when you do have the energy, things you identified that can be helpful is like touching the grass. Maybe it's like maybe in nature is pretty important to you, or like maybe the sensory.
Um, Yeah, I would say it's more of the nature aspect. I don't it's gonna sound silly, but I don't typically love the feeling of like air on my skin. It's not comfy. I always feel like itchy when I'm outside for too long. um, but I I thankfully live really close to several canyons. And I like just like hiking, and I think part of it is the like moving my body feels good. Um, which it obviously it does, but like being outside and hearing the water and like seeing the leaves and the light filtering through it. I feel like it's really just it's very grounding when I've had kind of like a rough time. But I also that is like going up into the canyon is the ideal grounding, but it's also so hard to have time to go somewhere when you've had a busy week. Um, so it's not always my first go to, even though I kind of wish it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least this week it'd be kind of hard to find time with working 6 days and events and also just like being a person, doing person things.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So yeah, it sounds like you have a really good grasp on like not only like your needs, but like depending on like the situation or the week, or it feels like you have a really good grasp on that.
Yeah. I don't always feel like I do, but it's definitely nice to hear someone think that for me. Because it's something that I have spent a lot of time trying to work on being better at, of like listening to what my body needs and not just doing what I want to do. Because sometimes I feel like those are often very different.
Mm,
Um, like taking care of me versus doing what I want to be able to do is always very different.
mm. So maybe you are good at identifying that, but when it comes to like even like talking about the event you went to yesterday, your body probably was like, I need to get out of here, but I feel maybe this obligation to socialize my dog and be in my community. But like, if you were to be honoring what your body was saying, it was go home and rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when right as we were about to leave, there was like 7 people that showed up at our house who wanted to go with us. And as soon as they showed up, I was just like, and I don't want to go. It's like it's already too many people. It's already too much. No one's listening to me when I tell them don't touch my dog. I was like, I already don't want to be here.
Mm.
Um, so it was definitely like it did kind of feel like an obligation, and I did get a little bit snappy with people, but also I felt like maybe would give me a little bit more grace because obviously I've had a very busy day. I woke up at like 7 a.m. to go to a parade at 9, and I've had my dog with me all day, and she's also tired. So it was just like, we all just need to ignore the dog and ignore me and let me just exist in this space so that I can participate without feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. It also sounds like, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it snappy or were they just like not receptive to the boundaries? Because I know you were saying you were telling them not to touch your dog, but they were doing it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely like, well, you're not respecting my boundaries. So, of course, I'm escalating,
Mhm.
um, which is also something that we're learning at Puppy Playdate with my dog. So, I definitely was mirroring her behavior. um, but it was also like, it was more of a like safety thing because she was overwhelmed and she was snapping when they weren't listening, to her, like trying to communicate like dogs communicate by like growling at them or barking at them, and then they would continue to get closer and then she would snap at them. And so I was like, you're gonna get hurt. It was more of a like safety, like I need you to listen and you're not listening, so I'm gonna yell. um Kind of a escalation. And then I felt bad because it was children who weren't listening, but at the same time I had told them like 6 times not to touch the dog. So I was like, I'm sorry that I yelled, but also I'm not that sorry that I yelled. Um, Especially because their adults were just not participating in educating them on why they couldn't touch the dog without permission, or like paying attention in any way to the interaction. So it was just very frustrating for me to have to be like the bad guy because oh, this cute little puppy obviously wants attention, but not from the children. So I kind of felt bad that like I had this thing that they couldn't touch. But also I didn't want them to get hurt.
Yeah, like their safety was important to you, and I feel like that's clear from what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for also like, because I had said that I felt like you had a good grasp and like I appreciate like where that conversation went and how you're able to like, I don't know. I just really appreciate your self-awareness, Natalie.
Thank you.
So, what have we chatted about? We've chatted about kind of this duality of what you want to do or the obligations you have versus what your body is telling you you need, or maybe your mind, body, and soul. And you kind of identified some different things that are helpful depending on like maybe that level of dysregulation or like overstimulation. Um, is there anything else from your week that stands out that was difficult or your body was screaming at you like, "Hey, let's go home" or something and you weren't able to?
Um, I mean, typically when I'm at work, I always kind of feel like a little bit uncomfortable just because of relationships with coworkers, not necessarily necessarily because of the work that I'm doing. Um, and so I like my body is always very uncomfortable, so I try to like escape to spaces where those relationships aren't at. Um, and that's kind of hard because we're a very small building. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I sense like a little bit of a shift when talking about your coworkers. Do you want to talk about them?
Um, we can. Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. It's also up to you if you have the capacity today. That's totally fine. We can leave it.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's whatever. It's just it's something that I'm constantly processing. So it's I feel like it's always kind of like surface level thoughts. Um, but I used to be friends with a lot of my coworkers, like outside of work friends. And then I started dating someone who was also friends with all of them. And then like our mutual friends kind of just when we broke up became just their friends. Um so it's been kind of a weird shift to go from like, oh, I have these people that I see at work and I also get to hang out with outside of work. And we talk shit and like make jokes all day. And then now I just have like acquaintances at work that are very much more just like we're just coworkers. Um, and so that shift has been really hard, and it's made like working in that environment just very uncomfortable for me. Um, yeah.
It sounds really painful. Did they did they just stop talking to you after the breakup?
No, it was like a really slow pullback for a couple of them. They would like chat with me a little bit initially because obviously breakups are hard. And then like later on, they just slowly stopped responding to me. Um, and then at one point, I had like texted one of them and was like, "Hey, I feel like we're not really friends. Like I'm getting this kind of vibe that like maybe you don't actually want to be my friend. And I hope I'm overreacting." But and then she just straight up responded with like, "Yeah, no, I don't really want to be friends, but I hope we can be friendly coworkers." And I was like, "That's not cool. Actually, I don't really want to be friendly." So it was like on top of a breakup, I had like a friend breakup. Um, and then like a couple of days after I got that text, I ran into her and a couple of other friends from work. And when they saw me, they like whispered and were like, "Oh my God, it's her." And I had earbuds in. So I had heard them kind of because I had awareness mode on. And when they said that, they were like, "Oh my God, it's her," and ran in the opposite direction like we were children. Um, and so I was just like, fuck it, I'm leaving. And so I like got my gifts for my niece and I checked out of Target and I went home and I cried. Because it was just like I was not expecting that level of hostility. Because it was like threw me back to being in high school when I was no one's friend.
Yeah, this sounds really painful, Natalie. And just that kind of bringing you back to like that high school self, but also like as you stated, breakups are already difficult, but now it's affecting your work. And maybe you're seeing them when you're trying to go on a shopping trip at Target. It's like this big impact on like, I don't know, does it kind of feel like nowhere was safe in that instance?
Yeah, it was like, oh, suddenly I can't go to Target. Like I don't know that I have gone back to that Target. Because it was just like, I can't, like, I'm just not gonna go for fear of like, apparently you guys shop here. That's so weird because none of you live in this neighborhood. Um so it was just like, cool. Um and it's also made like wanting to be friends with people that I work with who are genuinely nice to me and are like very kind, and I'm not meeting them like, we're not friends because of someone else at work. We're friends at work because they're nice to me and because they ask about my day and like talk about my dog with me and want to like do puppy play dates or like hang out outside of work sometimes. Um so I don't, it's kind of made like wanting to actually plan outside of work hangouts more difficult because I'm like, I'm worried that like, oh, like you don't actually like me because all the other people here don't actually like me, apparently, even though they pretended to for like a year. Um, so it's just like hard.
Those walls instantly go up, right? Especially kind of that fear of like you didn't expect them to be that hostile and not knowing how they are still interacting when it comes to you. Like, yeah, I could see why those walls would instantly go up.
Yeah. I also feel like part of it, like the walls going up really quick, is just because I already have a really hard time trusting that people want to be my friend because of a lot of past relational trauma. Um, and so like when people do stuff like that, when it's like, oh yeah, we're friends, but also like not really. Like I don't actually like you. I'm only friends with you because you're dating my friend. Um, I don't like I've never had to process that before. um in that, like in a new way. Like it's always been, yeah, we're friends, and then suddenly we're not friends. So having like, we're friends and we're friends for a really long time and now we're not friends is very new.
Yeah. And like that kind of lack of closure too, of like, I don't want to be friends. Like that must feel very confusing.
Yeah. I feel like I almost kind of wanted more. Like I wanted to know why. Like, but also I know that I like sometimes people just don't like you and that like whatever. But like even if it was just that, I think I would have been okay. But the fact that it was just like, I don't want to be friends was weird because it was like, it was weird because it was like, oh, we are friends. And like, I would do things for her, or she would like promise to do things for me. And I think it just re triggered a lot of previous trauma, is really the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. This is um this is something if you're comfortable, I would love to chat more about in future sessions. I can tell there's a lot of hurt there. And I really appreciate you sharing it with me. Um, I want to respect your time also, just to kind of summarize what happened this session and then lead you off into the world. So we talked a lot about how you take care of yourself, maybe this sense of like what I need. And today, what you need is to not leave the house, and that's valid. And kind of this work environment that maybe feels potentially a little unsafe. And these friendships that have caused a lot of hurt and betrayal and a lot of pain. Um, do you work tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to do today to take care of yourself? And that can just be what you said, right? Staying in the house. But what sounds good, or even if you need a moment to think about it, like what does your body need? Whether it be a hot shower, maybe a comfort movie, maybe a video game.
I think my plan for today is really just like I am gonna take a shower. I'm gonna take a very nice boiling shower.
Oh, good.
Um, give my dog a bath so that she smells delightful for bedtime. And then I think I'm really just gonna like lay in bed and watch some TV.
Hell yeah. What show are you watching right now?
um, I haven't really been watching shows a ton on my own. But I have just been like watching streaming services just kind of randomly. But I might watch some Dimension 20 and just listen to someone else create a story.
Alrighty. Well, yeah. If anything comes up before now, next session, let me know. Um, and yeah, we can kind of dive deeper, depending also on your capacity next week, or if anything else comes up, deeper into kind of these past relationships that have caused a lot of distrust.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Natalie. Have a really good week, okay?
You too.
Bye.